Hello and welcome to our 7th Sunoikis Digital Classics Common Session. This is our second common session from Thasos in Greece. And today we have the Sunoikis group of the University of Lyon. And the group is going to talk about Thasos and its walls. And today we have Michèle Brunet, Nicolas, Genis, Adeline, Levivier, and Élise, Pampanay, and they are going to talk about the walls of Thasos. We have slides and we have videos. You have the links on our Google Plus community page. So I give the floor to Professor Brunet.
Hello everybody. So we will begin to present Thasos as the island, the city-state, before going to the walls, Tateike, and connecting with what we spoke about last week, about the Phoros and so on. So as everybody knows, Thasos, the island where we are until tomorrow, is a big island in the north of the Aegean Sea, and the people who came to settle here came from Paros, and you see the small red star right in the middle of the Cycladic Islands. Up to Thasos, the big north island. So here we are closer. You see Thasos in its environment. There are some other islands nearby, Samothraki, and also Linos. Il y a un retour sur le son. Thasos, as you see, as a characteristic, it's not far from the continent, and we had the occasion, I think, to say that the goal of the colonists who came from Paros was not only to settle on the island, but also on the continent because of the mines. And the mines which were to be the problem with Athenians, because they had the same goals and the same views about the exploitation of the mines. So here we are in another view of the region, and you see that on the continent, what is called the Epeiros, Epire in French, there are some colonies that were founded by Thasos, and inside the black line, you have all the colonies that were founded by Thasos, and the triangles red are the places where there are mines. And a few words of the islands before we focus on the city, the Astu itself. As you see, it's a big island. 380 square kilometers, and all around the island there are villages. These are the green spots, and also all the small square black dots are isolated farmstead that were for the that had vineyards and so on. So Thasos, is this big island, was one city-state, and that should have been a problem for the Thasian to have a unity in their city with a so big Kora, so big territory to own, to keep as one unique, as a political, economical, and also strategic unity. You understand why they settled at the north point, the northern point of the island. It's because they wanted to be very near to the continent. But just look here in Aliki, because here is the first point where the colonists arrived, and we were in Aliki the other day. So Aliki is a very beautiful place in Thasos, where you see there is a natural harbor. So it is at that place, at this place, that the Parian first reached the island, and on this side of the harbor, they settled, and they built a shrine, a sanctuary for Apollo, who is the god of colonization, the Pythian Apollo. Here is a plan of this Aliki peninsula, and you can see that after, here is the sanctuary for Apollo, and all this has been exploited as quarries, marble quarries, since the 7th century, 6th century, when they first built these monuments for Apollo, until the 7th century AD, Byzantine times. So all the mountains, all the marble which was on the peninsula has been cut and used as a quarry. Here you are in Aliki, as if you were a colonist arriving to settle in Thasos. And here is a view of the remains of the sanctuary and the estiatoria in the sanctuary of Apollo. These two battlements, two monuments are from the 6th century. So now we go back to the north, where we are today, and this is a general view of the city of Thasos, taken from the Acropolis. And here is the plan, and now it is Nicolas, Genis, who will explain how we can read this plan and how many things are to be seen on the city plan.
Thank you, Michèle. I'm just coming back to the previous picture to show you that if the Parians settle in the north of the island, it's because of the proximity to the continent, because their first goal was the further colonization of this part of the continent for the mines. On this map, and you can get it on the Sunoikisis community page to have an easier look at it, we have the walls of Thasos as they were in the classical period, even if, as we will see later, there have been several destructions and rebuilding of these walls. First of all, you can notice that those walls are around the very center of the city, and also a part which is not so dense for with the buildings, houses, sanctuaries, and so on. In other cities, for example, we would have the walls just around the agora and the houses which are around the very center. So I have a question for you all. If you can join the group chat on the Hangout, how many gates are there in those walls in Thasos? If you don't speak French, a gate in French is porte, so you can maybe count them on the map. Here you are, Porte d'Hermès, which is Hermes Gate. So I'm waiting for your answers. Are you able to count on the map?
Nobody said. Are you here?
Are you here? Yes.
Yes.
So 12, I can see. Yes, 12. There are gates which are protected by deities, and we will talk later about Hermes and the Silenus. There are others which are not known by a deity's name, and as you can see, there are more gates towards the land here on the southwest border of the city, and not so many on the east side because it's kind of a cliff right to the sea, and there are much more communication between the city and the land on the southwest. Something else you would notice on this map is that the harbor is totally closed, and the harbor is part of the city walls to protect the inside of the city center from the enemies coming from the sea. Now you've seen these very big walls, which are almost 4 kilometers long at the end. Élise is going to explain you the history of those walls, starting at the beginning of the 5th century.
Thank you, Nicolas. So I'm going to explain to you the work we've done on the timeline with Thasos walls. And first of all, I'm going to explain why we chose this topic. So it's related to Thucydides, as you're going to see it in the text that figure in the timeline. So Thasos walls is a very good example of cross-referenced and well-documented archaeological material. So we'll give you a presentation, a detailed presentation of the walls in a minute, but we can already say that studying Thasos walls helps to have a better understanding of the city in itself, and in many aspects, as you may have seen with Nicolas just seconds ago. He showed you the city map, and studying Thasos walls helps us to understand better the topography of the city, especially the topography, the religious topography. So it helps understand the arrangement of the different sanctuaries in Thasos, which are quite many. It also gives us some information about the history of Thasos and the history of Thasos and Athens relationships since the 6th century. So I said that Thasos walls was a well-documented topic because we have, as you can see on this book cover, the publication from Yves Grandjean, which is quite recent, 2011. It's the second publication of Thasos walls because Charles Picard did one in the 20s. So in this study of reference, Yves Grandjean collected all the testimonia that talk about Thasos walls in ancient literature, for example, Herodotus and Thucydides especially, and he uses these texts as criteria for technology. So this was our basis to work on Thasos walls, and it seemed to us very interesting to visualize, so on a timeline, not only the text, so the literary sources, but also the media, so maps, pictures, video, to see the material in context and perhaps to have a better understanding of the whole thing. So here you can see our timeline.
So for this, what we've done basically in class is in Sunoikis Lyon, we selected all the texts that are in Grandjean study and have the word Thasos, so the walls. We checked, we selected the text from Perseus, and we checked the translations given by Yves Grandjean, and checked the chronology he gives to see if that fits the sources. About the tool, so this time we didn't use Time Mapper as we did for Thucydides' biography that you saw last week. We actually chose Timeline GS, which is similar but has the advantages to give so that we can layer two chronological data with it. Maybe you can see that you can have punctual chronological data and also some layers, for example, the Medic Wars, in the background. So we thought that was quite interesting in terms of visualization. So we did that in a Google spreadsheet. We associated elements of chronology with images, as you can see, maps, and so especially the sources establishing the chronology. And we added the URI of the text in Perseus and the translation in English provided by Perseus too. So we limited the chronology to the 5th century to have consistent data. So this goes from 500 before Christ until 390, which is the end of the time of dissensions between Thasos and Athens. And this is the moment we are sure that the civic concord is reestablished between those two. So I'm going to present now the timeline and the chronological sequence. So the construction of the walls, here you go, is dated between 500 and 491 before Christ. And then the second source we have is in Herodotus, 646-47, which is the expedition of Histiaeus of Miletus against Thasos. So we know from this text, so you can read it in Greek and have the English translation as well. This is how we know that the walls were already built in 494, because the text says that the Thasians used their wealth, which came from the mines, as we said, I think, to build their walls and their fleet. So Histiaeus of Miletus is the one responsible for Ionia's revolt, so that text is also a proof that at the time Thasos had connections with Persia. The next important date is the destruction of the wall following Persian orders, so from Darius, who sent the message to the Thasians so that they destroy their walls because they were supposedly plotting a rebellion. So Darius ordered that despite the allegiance of the Thasians without resistance to the Persians in 492. The next testimonial we have is the reconstruction of the wall between 478 and 465 before Christ. And then we know that Thasos was besieged by the Athenians between 465 and 463, which marks the end of this siege. So Thasos was besieged by the Athenians because they left the first league of Delos. So yeah, 463, sorry, yeah. So this is in Thucydides. This text marks the end of the war with Athens. And you can see here that the verb used is kathelontes, so in the first sentence in Greek, which means, according to the LSG, take down, reduce. So we can understand from this verb that the destruction of the walls was not actually a whole destruction of the entire wall, but more or less a demolition of parts of the walls, which was enough to take down this protection. then between 411 and 410, we learn from another passage of Thucydides that the Thasians reconstructed their walls. So here the verb used is eteikizon, which means to build a wall, to plug the gaps of these walls. So that can indicate a new building of the walls in Thasos. And then, yeah, that's the end. The democracy is restored by Thrasybulus in Thasos, so an Athenian. And in 389 before Christ, yeah, a Spartan, sorry, that's a bit, a Spartan attack, yeah, is defeated by the Thasians. So that's the end of our chronology of the walls of Thasos, because, as I said, we know that it's the end of the dissensions between Athens and Thasos. So now Adeline will show you and comment on some videos she took of different parts of the walls, and she will explain in a detailed way. Oh, now? Do you have any questions about the timeline, the chronology? Before we move to another topic.
If you have any question, you can unmute you and just ask it with your voice or in the chat.
Thank you. So no questions so far?
So as we've seen, the history of the construction and reconstruction of the Spartan walls is very linked to the history of the foreign relations between Thasos and other cities. At the beginning with the Persians, because Thasos was a Persian ally at some time, and then the relations with Athens and Sparta, which all tried to settle their influence on Thasos, and especially on the possessions of Thasos on the continent. As I said a few minutes ago, on the continent in front of the island, there are very productive mines for gold and silver, which made the wealth of Thasos. And as we will see, the very big walls that have been built are the result of this wealth, even if the very city center is not that big compared to the length of the walls. So now we're moving to the YouTube yes. So we're moving to the YouTube app within within the Google Hangout. Please let us know if you're in the app, so that we can start the first video. You may have to accept something.
Yeah, we see you.
You see us and not the video?
I see you. You both.
Okay.
What should I see?
On the left on the left side of the screen, you've got a YouTube icon. You just have to click on it and you will be in the YouTube app.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with it? So I give the floor to Adeline, and we will watch a few videos we've shot on the site a few days ago.
So I suggest now to have a walk along the wall. First, the structure of a part of the wall near the Thesmophorion on the northeast of the city, which I want to comment because Michèle Brunet already did it. Now the first part of the wall on the northeast of the city, just between the Thesmophorion and the theater. This is a well-preserved part of the wall where you can see how they were built. Just a few words about the masonry. It is a double-faced wall with irregular courses, and you can see some courses of marble and some finer of gneiss. A bit further on the way to the theater, you can see another part of the wall, well preserved too. But as you can see on the top, there is some part which have been reconstructed. Now there is a drawing of Yves Grandjean. You can see the different shape of the block. And maybe you have some questions about masonry.
As you can see in some parts of the wall, the blocks are really cut to fit one place and only one place. For example, here, I don't know if you, yes, we are on the same video. Here you have this strange shape at the bottom of the to be filled by a squared block, which may be of a later rebuilding phase. But in the first phase, you have those very big and not regular blocks, as you can see on this drawing by Grandjean. Anis, do you have a question? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on.
So now we are going to the permanence gate on the west of the city. So you can play video.
Okay.
Now we are going to the. So after the signature of permanence, there is the permanence gate, which is far from the city center. It's a large gate with the lintel is still in place, and you can see the mortars on the both sides of the lintel. And also the security system to close the gate. So one on one vertical beam and one horizontal beam. This is a big security system because, of course, this gate has to had to be secured.
Now here is the Silenus gate. On the northeast of the city, there is a tower first on outside of the wall. This is a large gate too, with the relief of the Silenus, and I think you can see at the end of the video there is a picture of the relief. There is no lintel actually, but there is some mortars too to close the gate, and a beam on horizontal beam to close the gate too.
As you may have seen at the beginning of the video, this gate is goes with a kind of a big tower outside the walls, and here you can see the street, which is going straight after the gate through houses neighborhood.
Now there is now the closing system to put the horizontal beam. And now the Silenus relief, which is well preserved. And it's done to go inside in the city. So as you can see on this picture. And now there is a drawing, a reconstruction drawing made by Nicolas for the 150th anniversary of the French School of Archaeology in Athens. Now the last video with the Hermes gate. It is located in the northeast of the city. It's a large entrance of 2 meters and 1.52 meters on depth. You can you saw the relief of Hermes from the 480 BC, and now there is drain of Yves Grandjean, and there are some tunnels to drain away the water by the lower part of the city. And now you have a second drawing with a view of on the top of the wall, and you can see the wall in gray, the gate, the street, and in the middle the drain. So the work is finished now. Now, if you have questions, yes.
But yes, we can replay a video if you'd like, and
We're waiting for your questions.
What we wanted to show you is that those big walls are deeply linked with the city's history, both the political and foreign relations history and the economic, religious, and production history. We saw Parmenon, Professor Brunet told you about the quarrels in Aliki. We told you about the mines. This is a very very rich city, and all those activities are very important to its history. Were the Athens walls built with a similar method of Thasos?
Hi, Élise. I may say that the Thasians had their walls built in stone before the Athenian, because as Thucydides reports, he said that at the time of before Themistocles, the Athenians had only mud brick walls, and that it's after the first Persian War that they decided to build new walls, and especially the long walls that linked Piraeus to the city center. But that can explain you seeing the walls in Athens, in Thasos, being so strong and so early built as they are, with these 4-kilometer length, means that Thasos at that time could be a real rival for Athens. And they had the same strength as they also had, just as Herodotus reports, they had walls and they had warships. And that are the two feet of power at that time, end of the 6th, beginning of the 5th century BC. But you also notice the particularities of the walls and of the gates in Thasos, because nowhere else you will find the gates with these deities sculptures on every gate, and that is really very special. And there are not many parallels in Greece. Maybe it comes from East. It may be a habit that has been inspired by the East, but in continental Greece, in the Cyclades, in the Peloponnese, you don't have these deities looking at the gates, just as we find them in Thasos. Do you have other questions?
Yes, and maybe you can tell it if you unmute your.
Yes, you can.
Hi.
I was wondering that it was not very easy to destroy these walls, and they had to build and rebuild several times. It's amazing.
When one says that the walls are destroyed, had to be destroyed because that was part of the sanction that the Athenians imposed to the Thasians after their the siege. It means only that if you want to make a wall to be useless, you just have to destroy 10 meters or a few meters just beside the gate, so that the gate become useless, because who wants can enter inside the city. So that is what is meant when you once read, say, the walls were destroyed. You don't put down 4 kilometers of the walls. It's just, you just make holes near the gates, and so the city is open. That is what is meant. Other questions or commentaries?
Was it usual to build postern?
Potern. Yes, it was. And as you see on the city plan map, there is one part of the wall which is without gates. As we said, it's on the east part. At that part, on that part, we are up climbing on the hill towards the Acropolis. And so the slopes are very straight, but there are some posterns because they had to go out also on this side. But there are 3 or 4 posterns just to let people go out and come in on this side. But the real gates that was for every day, for the people going to their lands for agriculture and so on. It's on the west part, and here you have all the principal gates with all the great deities that were important for Thasian people. That means Heracles. What do we have also? Zeus, and this Silen. And you also noticed maybe that it's not Dionysos himself who is on the gate, is one of his company, the Silenos, which is really huge. He is 3 meters high.
Other questions? And we have a little audience here in Thasos. Maybe they have questions.
No. Yeah. Please, Marie-Claire.
So I'm building off of Anis's comment, and we were talking about how the walls are being destroyed and rebuilt periodically. Do we have any sense of what manpower would be needed, both for the destruction and the reconstruction?
Many people.
In his book, Grandjean said the wall has been built between 494 and 491, which is 3 or 4 years to build those walls. Maybe not the 4 kilometers long walls, but most of it. But we are not sure about it. That's why in the timeline we put the starting date around 500 BC, because it should have taken longer, even with many people walking, many slaves and stone cutters. But I think we don't know exactly what was this manpower and how long did it take each time to rebuild the part of the walls that has been destroyed.
As you know, it's always a problem to know how many slaves were in a city. Here, what has to be said is that the stones were in situ. That is, there was no transport from quarries that would have been far away. In Athens, as you know, the Pendeliki, the quarries, they are 15 kilometers far away from the city center. So the question of transport has always been a big question for the construction buildings in Athens. Here in Thasos, there is marble everywhere, and we can see all around the walls the quarries where they took the stone to build it. But nevertheless, it should have taken time to build such a big and strong wall.
If you don't have other questions, I think we can conclude our common session. I want to express a special thanks to the group of the University of Lyon, because this common session is the result of a big work, not only the work that they have done during these 2 weeks in Thasos, and I have to thank Professor Brunet for inviting me here to see what they are doing. So we have visited the island, we have seen the archaeological sites, but the group of the University of Lyon has started to work for this common session many weeks ago, just after our seminar in Leipzig. They have begun to work on the time mapper, and I will put online the link to the time mapper, and then you have also the videos and many other things. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
you're welcome.
yes, and so we will meet again next week. Yes, Anise, yes, a lot of work indeed. And we will have our next Sunoikis Digital Classics Common session next Tuesday. I will be back in Leipzig, and I will put online the material for next common session. So thank you very much, and see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.